Heaven is where those of a kind make it for themselves, and hell is where those of a kind let others of a kind make it for them. Heaven is in no particular place. It is wherever heavenly conditions are for those realizing the bliss. A place can be heaven at one time and hell at another time. A place can be heaven for one kind and hell for another kind at the same time. For example, the United States of America is basically heaven for Caucasians and basically hell for Negroes. Hell is no particular place. It is wherever hellish conditions are for those experiencing the misery. However, there are wrong heaven and right heaven. Wrong heaven is hell for the oppressed. Wrong heaven is the heaven of the oppressor because his heaven is built upon, strives upon, and survives upon a foundation of fabrication, slavery, killing, exploitation, and oppression. Right heaven is the heaven of liberty for all in a society of justice and equality for all. Right heaven includes the necessary provisions and protection for all. But the only way people can have right heaven is that each race be in a land of its own, minding its own business and practicing its own way of life. Liberty, justice, and equality are ingredients that make up heaven. Liberty, justice, and equality are forces of rightness. No one wants to rest all the time. People get tired of resting all the time, just as they get tired of working all the time. Hence, heaven is not a place of rest all the time. Heaven is reasonable rest and reasonable work, plus the responsibilities for well-being and happiness. Heaven and hell are right here on planet Earth in the person of fleshy people. Heaven and hell are states of condition. Whatever condition you find yourself in at any place or time is your heaven or hell.
The Protestant religion led to the emergence of capitalism in Western Europe around the 17th century. Weber observed that capitalism first took off in Holland and England in the mid-17th century. He asked himself the question, why did capitalism develop in these two countries first? Based on historical observation and analysis, Weber theorized this was because these were the only two countries in which Protestantism was the predominant religion, rather than Catholicism, which was the formal religion of every other European country. The different value systems of the two religions had different effects. The values of Protestantism encouraged ways of acting which, unintentionally, resulted in capitalism emerging over a period of many decades, even centuries. Protestantism encouraged people to find God for themselves. Protestantism taught that silent reflection, introspection, and prayer were the best ways to find God. This encouraged Protestants to adopt a more individualistic attitude to their religion by seeking their own interpretations of Christianity. In contrast, Catholicism was a religion which encouraged more conservative values and thus was resistant to such changes. The Catholic Church has a top-down structure, from God to the Pope to the senior bishops, and then down to the people. Ultimate power to interpret Catholic doctrine lies with the Pope and his closest advisors. Practicing Catholics are expected to abide by such interpretations. They are generally not encouraged to interpret religious scripture for themselves. Similarly, part of being a good Catholic means attending Mass, which is administered by a member of the Catholic establishment, which reinforces the idea that the Church is in control of religious matters, rather than spirituality being a personal matter as is more the case in Protestant traditions. Part of Weber's theory of why capitalism first emerged in Protestant countries was that the more individualistic ethos of Protestantism laid the foundations for a greater sense of individual freedom, and the idea that it was acceptable to challenge top-down interpretations of Christian doctrine, as laid down by the clergy. Societies which have more individual freedom are more open to social changes. Weber argued that a particular denomination of Protestantism known as Calvinism played a key role in ushering in the social change of capitalism. Calvinism preached the doctrine of predestination. God had basically already decided who was going to heaven, the saved, before they were born. Similarly, he had also already decided who the damned were. Whether or not you were going to hell had already been decided before your birth. This fatalistic situation raised the question of how you would know who was saved and who was damned. Fortunately, Calvinism also taught that there was a way of figuring this out. There were indicators which could tell you who was more likely to be saved and who was more likely to be damned. Simply put, the harder you worked, and the less time you spent idling and or engaged in unproductive, frivolous activities, then the more likely it was that you were one of those pre-chosen for a life in heaven. This is because, according to Calvinist doctrine, God valued hard work and a pure life, non-materialistic life. According to Weber, this led to a situation in which Calvinist communities encouraged work for the glory of God, and discouraged laziness and frivolity. Over the decades, this work ethic encouraged individuals and whole communities to set up businesses, and reinvest any money they earned to grow these businesses, because it was a sin to spend the money you'd made on enjoying yourself, which laid the foundations for modern capitalism. Over the following centuries, the norm of working hard and investing in your business became entrenched in European societies, but the old religious ideas withered away.
Black girl ventures upon finding out that Black women were starting businesses at 6 times the national average. We've been able to fund over 400 woman-owned companies. Our founders represent about $10 million in revenue and about 3,000 jobs. Those are really big numbers. Thank you.
Hustle culture is a lie, and anyone that tries to tell you that it was the secret to their success either A, has no idea how they actually got to where they are, B, spent a lot of time running nowhere fast, probably more so than they care to mention. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about why more and more Black women are rejecting hustle culture, and rightfully so. And I also want to talk to you about why hustle culture is actually a smokescreen designed to keep you stuck and burnt out. Let's begin. So hustle culture has been glorified for quite some time now. And what it tells you is that basically you can achieve any goal that you set your mind to as long as you're willing to work every waking minute of your life to achieve that goal. So for instance, if you are burdened by a tremendous amount of student loan debt, hustle culture tells you that you should be willing to work 80 plus hours a week to be able to pay that down if you wanted it badly enough.
What's it like when you arrive at the workplace?
It can be challenging. Disrupt preconceived notions, not to reinforce stereotypes. To have your actions misinterpreted. I've been mistaken for the secretary. I've been asked to get coffee. I just want to play the game like everybody else. But how can you play the game when you're not invited to the field?
We cannot separate capitalism from racism. They are married together. They are forms of control. They are forms of domination. They require submission and domination from some groups, and they require other groups to have a level of control that is not attainable by those others. The Black plight. We are so wrapped up right now in this capitalist system. It is mind-blowing. As long as we're getting money, we get so quiet about things. We just turn the other cheek, turn a blind eye. Where is the accountability for doing that?
I'm trying to do this without crying because my job, it is making it very clear. It doesn't matter how great I am, how good I am, that I will never get the chance and opportunity to grow. You know, there's different rules for different folks. I get told that I'm too aggressive, then I back. Then I get told I'm too passionate, so I gotta wheel it back in. Then I get told, well, you're emotionally too involved. I love what I do, so I don't understand what you're talking about, you know? And I feel like they try to break me so that way I'll quit because they know they are not going to give me the opportunity to be great, but you waste your time and energy. 4 years is a long time to invest and put out there, and it just keeps showing it. I keep asking the Lord, like, is this it? And maybe it is it. Maybe starting over is scary, but I may have to, oh, y'all, I'm so tired.
You know, being in a toxic job can really kill you. So physically, psychologically, we know that research shows that Black women have higher rates of experiencing toxic work environments. We know that Black women are not supported by their supervisors in general. We know that the American Heart Association has come out with research that Black women are now dying at earlier ages. We're developing cardiovascular disease earlier, and we're more prone to issues of like racism, sexism, toxic jobs. And so I want to help save Black women, right? And, you know, I think that Black women, you know, many of us feel that if we get the right education, the right credentials, the right job, that we can kind of work ourselves out of these things, but it doesn't matter what career you have, what education level. In fact, I think the higher you go up, the more prone you are to the hostility.
Guys, I'm so traumatized. Like, being a Black woman in a corporate space absolutely traumatized me. Like, I'm actually traumatized. Like, I just can't do it anymore. Already, everyone admits to having to play the game while at work, yeah? But as a Black woman, you're playing several games at the same time, and it's so frustrating. As a Black woman with anxiety, the amount of pressure you are under to mask, and I mask, but it doesn't matter, because when someone has a certain perception of you, your behavior towards them will not change that. Can you imagine, yeah? Can you imagine already having to tone police, right? You tone police, then you're masking your anxiety, right? You're tone policing, masking your anxiety. I wake up sometimes, my nervous system is a flipping mess. I wake up sometimes, I'm on high alert. I'm on fight or flight. Like, my adrenaline levels are insane. Like, I wake up sometimes and it's just really hard to function. And I am quite high functioning with my anxiety, right? But can you imagine having to do all that and mask and still be being told, yeah, that, oh, you know, your nervousness comes across a certain way to people? Are you joking? Black women actually do not have the luxury of having any other emotion that isn't positive being perceived as anything but aggressive or negative or da-da-da-da. Do you know how insane that is, to have to now take into account how people perceive your anxiety and regulate it at the same time and play the game in a workplace? You are not responsible for other people's perceptions of you, especially in the workplace, especially being a Black woman in the workplace. People already have a perception of you, like, and you're not responsible for that. But it is honestly traumatizing, and I am holding a deep anger being confronted with the reality that this is just what it is. This is what it is as a Black woman working in a corporate space. This is just what you will go through, and this is making me want to opt out so bad. Like, I'm not on board. I say this because I hear and I see so many stories that mirror my own. Like, people saying the same things that I've been told. When people say to you, oh, we can't really read you. Like, it's so frustrating to me, because what are you trying to read? What are you trying to read? I've said what I mean and I mean what I say. Oh, by your face sometimes, we don't know if you're on board. We don't know if you pissed you off. Mind you, you've sent, oh my God, amazing idea, and 3 exclamation marks in the Slack channel. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Because people have their perceptions of you, irrespective of what you show them. They're just looking for anything to match up to what they really think about you. There's just a deep, deep sadness in me. There's a deep sadness in me, and I feel sad and I feel sorry, for the girlies who also, like me, may have anxiety, who may have mental health problems, who may have ADHD, who may be autistic, neurodivergent. I feel really sad for us. Not even in a pity way, but there's just something in me, I'm mourning something, and it's just I think it might be the hope, and maybe it's naivety of me, the hope that people will just seek to understand you, and you don't have to play these games, and who you are is enough in the workplace. But there's just politics around your whole existence, and that for me just feels so traumatizing, and I just don't really want to participate in it. I don't want to participate in it. It's 8 hours every day for 5 times a week. I'm really sad about it. I'm sad for us as black women that in the workplace, it's just part and parcel of being in a capitalist society. We just have to perform.
Most women in these United States are fully possessed by Caucasian men physically, mentally, educationally, occupationally, spiritually, economically, and sexually. And this is a fact. This is a part of the special campaign that Leviathan has on black women. We already out here race mixing and diluting the race. We already out here putting these things over our natural hair. We out here looking crazy. Not only that, with black women to blame for the family separating, poverty and welfare dependency, and y'all don't need a man. We always said we don't need a man. Y'all know what it is.
Listen to this.
It's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore.
The I'm an independent, strong black woman, I don't need no man narrative is a scam. Here's why. Society has conditioned us to believe that we don't need anybody, we don't need any support, and we can do it all on our own. What a lot of us has accepted as normal is really not normal. Households were created to be 2 adults and children. The price points that the world is set in now requires 2 incomes. That's why you're working 2 jobs. And if we are not working 2 jobs, we have told ourselves that we have to go back to school, get higher education so we can make more money, which is a necessity. But wouldn't it be better if you had a whole team member helping you along? Because what ends up happening is, yes, love, your career is great. Yes, I am so proud of you for getting your doctorate. I am so proud of you for buying the house. No, I do not believe that women should wait to progress in life until they have a man. That's not what I'm saying. But we are so guarded and we are protecting ourselves so heavily away from every man that we miss on a good man. We automatically assume that all black men are out to get us. And the more you think something, the more you believe something, and the more you see something. So we cut off all men who are not making at least 6 figures. We tell our baby daddies we don't need them because you're not able to pay us substantial child support. So my kids don't need you. And we don't realize that our black men offer so much more than just their financial provision. They offer protection. They offer guidance. They offer leadership. They offer a masculine energy that absolutely depletes you when you have to provide that. You are created to be feminine. You are created to be the nurturer. You were created to be soft and loving. And we are having to play both roles because we are not allowing any man in out of fear that we're going to get the wrong men. And I understand our concern, but the I'm an independent, strong black woman, I don't need no man narrative is keeping us working way later in life than what we're supposed to. It is keeping us away from the black men who want to protect us and keep us safe. It is keeping us away from the black men that would go to the moon and back to make sure that we're happy and healthy, make sure our children are happy and healthy. It is taking away the example of manhood that our sons need and the example of how a man is supposed to love a woman that our daughters need. And it is taking away the opportunity for us to rest. That's why our mother struggled for 60 years and now she is exhausted and she's beat down. We deserve so much more. Let's give it to ourselves.
We out here acting like superwoman, superwomen. We out here acting like superwomen, like we can do all things. We harsh, we brutal, nasty. I don't care how cute we look, we broken. We're tired. That's a part of Leviathan's special campaign. To keep us in this mental frustration and ignorant.
Tired of having to participate in capitalism. It is literally ruining my life, and not even in a way that it's like, oh, a pity party, or you can't just figure out how to make money. Or no, figuring out how to make money is not the problem. It's the chunk of my life and chunk of my brain space and chunk of my heart that I could otherwise be dedicating to other things that I have to think about. How am I going to make money? How am I going to sustain? It's miserable, because if you have a 9 to 5, right? I love 9 to 5s. I will never talk bad about 9 to 5s. You have a 9 to 5, right? That's 9 to 5. That is 8 hours out of your day. And then before the 9 to 5, you have to prepare for the 9 to 5. And then after the 5, you're too tired to do your own life. You got one day, because Friday you left work. That's not the fucking weekend. I don't care what anybody says. And then Sunday, you spend all day prepping for Monday. You get one day out of your fucking, stop that, stop, hey, stop, son. You itchy? Like I was saying, you get one day out of your fucking week to take care of it.
Healing from capitalism is a really tough wound. And a lot of you guys are suffering from this wound, and you're not even aware that you're suffering from this wound. But a clear indication that you're suffering from this wound is when you feel a constant need to be productive. When your body is telling you to rest and to get sleep, but then you feel like, oh my God, I shouldn't be resting right now. I should be doing this. I could be doing this. That is conditioning. And it's not your fault. The programming worked. But now it's time to reprogram your subconscious to understand and know that it is okay to rest. Actually, it's necessary for life. To have a healthy, sustainable life, we must have balance. And balance is something that they don't talk about when it comes to the workforce, capitalism, the grind, the hustle, whatever you want to call it. So when you are taking a much needed rest, if you live in the society that we're in today, you need some rest, and you're finding it really hard to just unplug, your mind is racing, you have to be scrolling all the time, you have to be doing something, you just feel like you have to be connected. The fear of missing out, the fear of being behind, the fear of not doing enough, not being enough, all conditioning in your subconscious, all lies, all programmed to keep you stuck. So if you want to start healing this wound, you have to do the exact opposite of what your ego and your mind is telling you to do. And you have to just try to quiet that noise and rest. And talk to yourself. When you're resting and you're feeling that anxiety, like you need to get up, you need to go clean the house, you need to do something, stop and ask yourself, why do I feel that I have to be productive every moment of the day? Whose idea and belief was it that equated my worthiness with how much I'm doing on a daily basis? How do I feel when I am not getting the adequate rest that my mind, body, and spirit
deserves, needs, craves. I mean, basic. And really start to process these emotions, because they're a wound. It's a real thing. Your thoughts and fears and anxiety and depression for not being enough is valid. But what I'm here to tell you is that it's a mindset to keep you small. It's a mindset to keep you always feeling in lack. You're not alone. I'm just here to make this video to let you know you're not alone. I struggle with it every day. So let's start unpacking the why so we can reprogram.
Capitalism is anti-community. I am a person who grew up in poverty, grew up on food stamps, grew up on Medicaid, made my way out, and now I am middle class. And I remember being poor, and whenever you need something as a poor person, you go to your neighbors, you go to your nearest family member. You intentionally live beside family so that you can lean on each other for support. But the more money you have, the more you can purchase help. You don't need help. First of all, the more money you have, the less help you need. And then the less help, when you do need help, you can just buy it. It takes away the need for family. It takes away the need for community in a practical sense. Of course, you need family in like a social sense, but it's not the same. And so because capitalism allows you to outsource your needs to money and to professionals instead of to family and to friends, it distances you from those families and friends inherently. And I was just thinking about this, and I don't know, it just made me sad, because me and my friends, we want to hang out more, but we can't find the time because we're working. Me and my family want to see each other more, but we don't have time because we're tired after work. And it's like we need money to pay our rent and things like that. But if we live together, we would have to pay less rent and possibly have to work less. And have more family. But the way America is set up, it discourages you from wanting to live with other people. It discourages the idea of communal living. It discourages multi-generational homes. It makes people feel like that is wrong, that is weird, it makes you feel like that's poor, and God forbid that you're poor in America. And something else I just thought about is that you are incentivized to pay for help rather than ask a family member for two reasons. One, if you ask a family member to do something, you might have to give your time back, and so you don't have to commit yourself in an intangible way, or put yourself into like favor debt if you just pay someone to do it. And then also you don't have the risk of, I guess, like flakiness, for lack of better words. You can ensure, well, you do, because professionals still can be unprofessional, but it's like almost a guarantee, and that is so appealing to like a parent who needs a babysitter, or I don't know, someone who needs someone to pick them up from the airport. You can commit and you can get an Uber, and you know that Uber is going to show up when you hit that app eventually. But if you ask a friend or a family member to pick you up, you run the risk of them, oversleeping or not showing up or running late or something like that. And, you risk having to deal with the relationship of it. And people don't like to deal with relationships. They want all relationships to be positive and superficially nice and not have any real depth or emotion to them. Relationships are so complex and heavy, and they take so much out of us to have a good relationship. It's much easier just to pay someone. But the downside is that if you don't invest into that complex relationship, you don't get those complex and nuanced and rich rewards that come from having a deep and loving and committed relationship. And I'm not just talking about, obviously a romantic relationship, because that's hard to find. But I'm talking about like with your sister, with your brother, with your mom, with your dad. It's like if they commit to you and you commit to them, and you have to show up, and people don't want to show up. So it's just easier to purchase someone else to show up. I don't know. I'm like, do you get that connection that people don't want to deal with the hard part of relationships, so they just purchase things, and that benefits capitalism. And it's a vicious cycle, because the less you put into relationships, the less relationships you have to put into, and the more you have to lean into capitalism to outsource the things that you would otherwise get from family or community. I don't know. I was just like, wow, it's so gross. That's all. It's really gross the way capitalism encourages us to buy everything instead of depend on the ones that we love. And that's another reason why I think, we're having this weird social anxiety, depression epidemic. Yes, COVID, and COVID exacerbated it. But it was kind of already happening with social media and people losing the ability to connect in person. Those skills were already dying off, and then COVID kind of just was like literally the nail in the coffin for people to learn how to manage complex relationships. And so people don't know how to do it anymore, and so more people depend on money to get things done. And the problem is, right, in this economy, there's less money that people have, and so people are just poor and depressed. It's all because of capitalism. You can throw the patriarchy in there, but like that's that's a different video. So I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. It just washed over me that capitalism is literally anti-community, and it because the less community you have, the more profitable someone else can be. Thanks for listening.